Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Greco, and I'm one of the regional sales managers here over at Foundation Software. I'd like to welcome everybody today to Foundation's free webinar series. Today, we're going to talk about what job cost reports you need to know for your business to be successful. So as we go through the system, I'm going to touch on both some of the built-in dashboard reporting as well as some of the other reports that I've come up with over the years that I've discussed with clients that are either looking to expand on what they're doing job costing wise, or hey, I want to know what are the best reports that I could run out of my accounting system. And today we're going to use Foundation to illustrate those reports, go through different areas of the system. And as we wrap up today's webinar, there will be an opportunity for everybody to ask questions at the end. Currently, everybody's in mute mode, so there should be an area within your GoToMeeting player where you'll be able to key in questions. And once we wrap up the presentation, I'll make sure we set some time aside to go through those questions. So when it comes to job cost reports, Foundation is going to be a very excellent source of being able to produce all the necessary reports that you would need in order to look at job costing, make sure you're keeping up with your jobs, making sure that real-time cost is right in front of all of us. And the first area that I typically start with is the executive dashboard. This is something that is included with every version of Foundation. So it's a great tool that makes job costing easy, number one, and it makes it as very detailed or as very detailed as you want it to be. So with the system, it's one of the great reporting features that allows you to kind of get a good feel for job costing as a whole for your entire company. And by leveraging the executive dashboard, it's going to give me an area that I can come into that would give me an opportunity to see all my jobs, be able to see what percent complete they are. So as we create jobs in the system, there's an ability to put in a estimated cost towards those jobs. And that could happen from a manual entry or even a third-party estimating software we're able to import from. So as jobs progress, one of the common things that I come across with different companies that I deal with on the sales side is I don't know where my job costing is. It's a very manual process. I'm doing, accounting in system A and reporting in system B. Nothing's ever on time. I don't know whether the job's making money or losing money. Those are all just very common things that I hear. With the dashboard, that really kind of solves all of that. So I know where all my jobs are at. I'm able to even see, where I'm at, including change orders. So it's always a struggle with off-the-shelf systems is where are the change orders at? Are they in the software? We want to bring that all into one system. So I'm able to see accurate contract amounts, accurate estimated cost, meaning including change orders, and then accurate estimated profit. And then I'm always able to see what's really going on. So being able to see what's been billed to date, cost to date, and actual profit. Percent complete, it's all right in front of me. And if I want to drill into this, I can just double click and drill into all my jobs. So it's always good to kind of see stuff from a company level and then be able to take it a step further within the company and see all the different jobs out there, see what my potential profit is versus my actual profit or my actual margins. So it's always something that should be right in front of us. We don't want to fall behind. Like if you see some of these jobs are underbilled, we want to make sure we keep up with that. So it's always something important for you to know for your business is whether or not we're underbilled or overbilled, which we'll talk about a little further when we talk about the actual work in progress report. But this is a nice report that's going to give me a nice little snapshot of where things are. Now, also, if I have a question on any single one of these jobs, I can always drill into that job. And by doing so, I want to touch on a couple other very important areas as far as job cost reports go that you're going to want to keep up with. Definitely, we want to see things from the job level, right? Build to date, cost to date, actual margins. But we're able to take it a step further. So, another important thing that a business should be looking at is not just the job itself as a whole, but also being able to look at estimate versus actual by cost code. So we have a ton of clients that, they want to take things a step further. They want an ability to set the job up with different line items of cost codes that they want to track. And this also might be where third-party estimating comes into play. So, you're able to see the cost codes that are on the specific job, and there's an estimated cost to them. That could be either entered in manually or imported from a third-party estimating software. So we're able to get that information in, And I always feel that it's very important that if we're going to look at the job as a whole, we want to make sure that we're not, over cost or under cost, or where are we at with each line item on that job. So there would be an ability within the system to see estimate versus actual by cost code. So another important piece, not only just looking at things from a higher level, but looking within the job. We're also able to take a step further. So being able to drill into a specific cost code and get some category breakdown. We refer to them as cost classes. Some people call them categories, cost buckets. So I'm always able to look within the job, look within the cost code, and then see where, my estimate versus actual is as well. So, these are just kind of where I always like to start, kind of upper level, and then being able to drill into there. And I'll kind of show you some other reports that tie into some of this information. Now, being able to drill into cost even further is something important. So as we keep up with jobs, we want to monitor, where our labor hours are, where our labor dollars are. We don't want or don't, we don't require the need to once again do double entry here. Everything is coming from foundation. So as payroll is being entered, it's coded. And then I'm able to then see that information from the job costing end. If I still have questions about any single one of these categories, whether it's labor, whether it's materials, subs, I can take it a step further, drill in, and then I'm able to drill into that detailed cost. So we're always able to drill as far as you want to go. It's going to be key that if we have people that aren't really, don't really have access to the AP side or don't have access to the payroll side, a good example would be like a project manager. We want them still to be able to see their costs, but, they're not going to have access to payroll. So this kind of bridges that gap from you having to do manual reports or, having them do reporting outside the system. Everything could be driven from the software. Being able to drill into materials, drill into that detailed cost, drill into an actual image of the invoice. So once again, dashboard, extremely important to know where your business is at, where your job cost is, giving people easy access where they can just point and click. Now, another important area of job costing for those that do subcontracts is going to be committed cost. So being able to have a system that I can enter subcontracts into, and as invoices come in, I'm able to apply those invoices to those subcontracts. And by doing that, I'm able to then see all my committed costs for a specific job. So if we do have anybody that's attending today's presentation that does issue subcontracts, it's important also to be able to drill into all those subcontracts and see where they all are. Meaning, what's the original subcontract amount? Are there any change orders in relation to those subcontracts? What do we invoice to date? What do we paid out to this subcontract to date? What's the retainage? And then most important, what's still left open? So I always feel it's important for those that do issue subcontracts to be able to have a quick and easy way to see all those subcontracts. So if I'm looking at actual cost and maybe when the job is originally started or maybe a couple months in, I might think, I'm doing really well, the costs are low, but maybe I haven't taken into consideration all these still open subcontracts. So it's good to be able to have that information and then be able to see what's still left out there. And I can see that by job or I can see that by subcontract within the job. So always important not only just to track, estimate versus actual, but then also taking a step further and being able to examine all the open subcontracts. So I'd like to kind of start there with the dashboard, just going through some of the drill down features, some of the drill down reports, talk about, what's probably most important from the dashboard. And then what we can do is also talk about other reports in the system that are very useful and very important to know where your job cost is at. I'm going to go ahead and minimize the dashboard here. And the next report that I'd like to talk about is everybody's favorite, the over-under billing. I speak to a ton of companies out there, either using something off the shelf or something that doesn't really tailor to the construction industry. And one of their very common struggles is the over-under billing report, or some people refer to it as work in progress, or some people refer to it as a bonding report. All of which can be done out of the system here. So the over-under billing report, probably one of the most important job cost reports for a specific business. And being able to have that report real time and come out of the software is extremely important. So this eliminates you having to do anything manual again. It eliminates you having to track your change orders in 10 different areas. You have one system to track it. You're tracking all your costs in the same software. So these reports should be very real time. I should be able to come in at any point in time, put in whatever date range I want, run this report, and it should be accurate and up to date. This report is extremely important for also making sure that we don't fall behind again. You know, if I'm 90% complete on cost for a specific job, I better have billed 90% complete. So it's giving you an opportunity not only just to look at this from just an overall perspective, but then also if I need to produce this to a bonding company or a bank, it's going to be within the system. It does also have an ability to post to the ledger. So for those that are wondering, okay, after I run this report, you know, one of my processes, I might do a journal entry to record the underbillings or the overbillings. And it's something that can come out of the system, and you're able to go in and post this entry whenever you'd like. In addition to over/under billing, you know, being able to see the detail cost in the dashboard is good. But we might have a need for us to go in and actually look at just every single line item of cost. So some older systems out there that, you know, this is also a key report from older technology, older systems, and we don't want you to lose any functionality in here. So if we're looking to produce reports that are just giving us every single line item, every single hour, every single invoice, the job cost history detail allows you to go in, select a specific job, and then once you select that job, you could see every single entry that's made, whether it's come from payroll, whether it's come from AP. It's all broken down once again by job, by cost code, by category. There's also going to see some detail in here too. So there's an ability to drill in and look at every single line item of cost, what date it occurred, if it's payroll related, who the employee was, if it's invoice related, who the vendor was. So you can see pretty much all the detail of your jobs broken down really nicely. So I also wanted to touch on not only just actual true audit, actual true cost reports, but we do talk to clients that like to do projections or cost projections. So another important report is going to be a projected cost report. So now we were able to examine estimated cost. We're able to see actual cost. We're able to see committed cost. But what about that fourth line item of cost or fourth value, so to speak? And that could be what we project. So, you know, we're looking at actual percent completes, but what happens if I feel I'm either under or over? Is there an ability for me to go into Foundation and enter projections? Absolutely. And in turn, with those projections, I can now look at everything. I can look at committed cost, actual cost. And I'm able to come in once again, select a specific job that I want to run, and then be able to examine all of it. And keep in mind too, anybody that's attending today's webinar, this will be recorded and it's going to be emailed to all attendees. So if we're looking to see some of these reports on your end, you'll get a copy of this, so you'll be able to see kind of what we're going through today. And in addition, some of these reports, if they look or you need them to look a little different than what you see on our screen, there is going to be the data genies within the system that you can create your own custom reports as well. But projected costs, extremely important, being able to see, what we feel that what percent complete we are, or a projected dollar value, like on my report. This would be to date cost, this is estimated cost, and I feel that, maybe I'm a little bit more ahead than what I have cost to date, or under. So you can kind of toggle that back and forth and be able to even look at projections in the system. Now, the last report that we're going to jump into today is going to be one that's more geared towards labor and payroll. So there are some systems out there that really struggle to job cost, but I consider the entire picture of payroll, meaning not just the labor, not just the labor hours, but all the different fringes, all the different comp, FUTA, SUTA, employer FICA. I talked to a ton of companies that either have to do that in a spreadsheet or they don't really have an ability to track it that detailed. I always feel that the burden job summary report is an excellent report that I can come into and I can see what my payroll is really costing me. So, with the system, we want to use the numbers in the system to make us either bid better or be able to track cost better. So the burden job summary report, another extremely important report that allows us to see what the payroll is really costing us. So I'm able to see by job, the job hours. So always being able to see that's important, the job dollars, but then I'm also able to see as time is allocated to job costing, all the burden. So being able to see the FICA that's been job costed, the FUTA, the SUTA, the workers' comp, general liability, any employer contributions. So if we're doing a 401k match, we're able to job cost that. Fringes, we're even able to set up the system with an extra burden rate. So if we want to capture things that are above and beyond, what you see here as standard burdens, you can also set those up as extra burden and be able to job cost those as well. In this report, I'm able to see what my average hourly rate is. So as I'm looking at this, the job progressing, or, I'm truly looking to compare what I've estimated versus the actual. I'm going to want to make sure that I'm falling in line with what I estimated. So like if I look at this specific job here, the Lake County Trust rebuild, I know that on average, it's costing me around $45.18 an hour. If I've estimated the job at 40, I might be in a little bit of trouble here. So I'm able to see exactly what my payroll truly cost me. So that might make estimating a little bit more accurate as you move on to different jobs and different projects. What's also unique about this report is I can see the job as a whole, which is great. And then I can also expand on that. So if I want to come in here and see what each employee is costing me. So if we have different types of trades on a job, journeymen, foremen, carpenters, laborers, I can expand this out and be able to see basically what each employee is costing me. So like this employee here, Rick Stevens, on this job, I can see that he's actually costing me with a loaded rate around $38.60 or so. So burden job summary, great report to run to kind of drill into that labor numbers and then also get both burden for each job and then also what each employee is costing you. So just to recap, important reports, definitely come out of the system. You can run them out of the dashboard here. So being able to drill into your costs, drill into the detail, examine committed cost, always very important for your business to be successful and to make sure that nothing really truly slips through the cracks. And then, obviously over under billing, extremely important report to run. And that could be monthly, quarterly, however you guys plan on running it. You're able to do that with the system. Being able to see detailed job costs a little bit more further, being able to drill in, and then the projected cost reports for those that are looking to both look at estimated cost, actual cost, and then incorporate, some type of either percentage of completion on projection or actual projection dollars. And then finally, the burden job summary, really kind of, fine tuning what our payroll is really costing us, being able to see loaded labor rates by job and then also by employee. So with those reports mentioned, there's obviously several other reports that, if we have attendees that need different reports, like I said, we do have a built-in report designer. So you're able to kind of tailor the job cost reports to look however you want. And then also with the system itself, obviously for those that aren't foundation clients, we do a good job of sitting down with you during the implementation, going through these reports and making sure that you're good to go with all your job cost reports. So what I'd like to do now is open up the floor to the questions. So, pretty much everybody's in mute mode. So there should be an area within your GoToMeeting player that you'd be able to key those questions in, and I'll go through them. First question is, what is the best route to get burden for an individual employee versus the entire group? Really, the best route to do that would be, instead of doing it by job, you would just go into this drop down and say employee by job. And then that would then open up both the job itself as well as all the employees that had cost to that job within the job. Now, the next question, did the presenter say he was going to send a list of reports that he explained in the webinar? I probably won't be emailing everybody a list of reports. What we do, though, is we do send out a link to the webinar. So all these webinars are recorded, and anybody that attends, following the webinar, we do send you out a nice link that, is the recording of the actual webinar. And within that recording, it'll cover everything that we've covered today. Where can you find the projected cost report, and how do you enter the projected information in the system? So the projected cost report would be within the JC activity area within job costing. So if you go into job costing reports and JC activity, it should be right within there. And within the job cost module, it's going to give me an ability to go in and enter in those projected costs. And those projected costs, always going to be date driven. So I'm always able to go in and then select the job that I want to enter in those projections to. And then within here, if you see this projected cost area, I can either enter in a percent, which will then change that projected cost. Or if I don't want to really do that, I just want to go in and enter in a hard dollar value. I could do either or. So to enter the projected cost, it would be within your job costing module within the daily area. Next question would be, for calculating work in progress and over under billings, is it based on a percent complete? Is that percent complete input by users, or is it actually calculated by foundation? So that is a loaded question. So if we are, looking at over under billing reports, now with the over under billing itself, you can have it both ways. So out of the box, you're going to notice this little area here that says percent complete based on cost, yes. So if that is what I'm looking to do, and when I run that report, it's going to do, true accounting estimate versus actual. Now, we do have clients that would or need the ability to change that percent complete. So there is an ability within job costing that I can go into this job right here, and if I feel that instead of being 38% complete, I'm 42 or 52 or whatever number I want to plug in. There would be an ability for me to go into job costing, and then I'm able to enter that percent complete, which would then allow that information to potentially pull into that report. There's an ability that if I go into this report and run it again, and if I have done that step where I've changed the percentage of completion, I can go into here and select this, if not entered, and it would take into consideration that percent complete. So the work in progress report, it could be produced either in one of these two modules. It's in both areas. If I go into general ledger reports, you'll see over under billing here. If I go into job costing reports, you'll see over under billing here. So either one is going to do the same report. Sometimes people prefer to have different levels of access for security purposes, but it is going to be available both ways. Next question, how can we reconcile the job costing with the financial report, like payroll, GL, FUTA, FICA, GL. There's a nice report too in here. Now, this is more geared towards the accounting side, not so much, project managers running job cost reports. This is more of audit and more kind of behind the scenes stuff. There's going to be this nice report that says GL job cost Tieout. That's going to give me an ability to reconcile the ledger to job costing. So anything that I have in the ledger, it should equal to job costing. If there's any need for us to come in and let's say I'm running this for a specific date range here, this is going to give me the job cost and the ledger. So these should be the same. But if they're not, it's going to tell me here in this column, and then I'm able to drill in and see why one is different than the other. So in addition to, real-time reporting, over/under billing, for auditing purposes, if we have things that maybe have been entered in incorrectly, but we always want the ledger to tie to job costing, I'm able to see that, and I can drill into those sections. Why would my billed amount not show up on my job history detail? So with the job history detail, if I'm looking at just the report itself, it's mainly wanting to look at cost. However, if there's a need for you to go into the job history detail and see those billings amounts, there is an area within the actual report that if I check this box here that says print job revenue, not only will it show you all the detail costs, but it will also include your billed amounts. I just want to kind of leave it open for another minute or so for any other additional questions. And then also too, for those that, maybe have never seen Foundation and maybe want to have a personal demo or go through the software a little bit more further than just, talking about reports, you could definitely reach out to us and we can set up a personal demonstration with you guys. I can be reached at 1-800-246-0800. My direct extension is 257. Or you can shoot me an email at tjg@foundationsoft.com, and I'd be more than happy to set up a demonstration with you. A couple more questions. All the expenses we get into job costing are direct costs per the financial. I would say yes. Now, I'm not a CPA, so I can't tell you how to set the system up, but as far as direct costs, you're going to want to, when you set the system up, have a flag on those GL accounts to require job costing. That ensures that all direct costs go to job costing and aren't forgotten. So all the expenses, for the job costing report should go through the ledger if you are up and running. And then that would be a way to make sure that people don't forget the job cost. So all the expenses should most definitely go through the financials as well. Are these report templates preloaded into Foundation, or do they have to be loaded as you go live? The templates should be in the system. Over/under billing, job history, detail, projected cost, burden job summary, and the dashboard are all just standard features of Foundation. They're not things that you would be required to pay for. They are going to be something that's in the system day one. And then as we implement the system with you, there's going to be a point in time during the implementation where we go back and we talk about these reports. We do talk about them conceptually throughout the implementation, but then once we get you up and running and there's actual live data, we do have some sit-down meetings where we would go through these reports with you. But they are definitely loaded in the system. As far as one of the last questions, what about the input to get the job costing report? That's going to come from the actual accounting in the system. So when we enter an invoice into the system, we're going to code it to the job. When we enter in payroll, we're going to code it to the job. When we bill the job, we're going to select the job number that we're going to be billing. So it's all stuff that does come from the input of the software. So being able to actually enter job cost, not have to do that dual entry or as I enter an invoice, code it once, updates job costing. So that will all come from the input in Foundation. When going live in the middle of the year, how would you complete the over under billing report? If you're currently in training, I would recommend, if you're a current Foundation client and you are currently in training, I would definitely reach out to your trainer. They're definitely going to be covering that with you during the implementation and in detail. But conceptually, what we look to do when we go live in Foundation is obviously go live in the whole software. And one of the parts of the going live process would be going live in job costing. So an easy answer to give you to go live in the over under billing is there'll be a part where we discuss entering in job cost history to date. So that is something that we do cover during the implementation, making sure that if there are existing jobs that need to be on that over under billing in Foundation, that we discuss and we go through how to get that to date costs in the system before you go live. And then there's always an ability to also enter in the billed and paid revenue so that when we carry over the system, those jobs are updated and you're carrying those jobs over so that your over under billing is actual in real time as well. All right, guys. Well, thank you for attending today. Today we were talking about job cost reports, what reports would be needed in order to have a successful business, have an eye on all your job costs and everything like that. So it is something that we do like to discuss with everybody. It is going to be sent out to everybody shortly. Hopefully, the recording will be sent either by today or tomorrow. So that's going to be something that keep an eye out for. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. Hope everybody learned a little bit of a Foundation. For those that, or companies that want to take a look at Foundation, just give us a call. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and then I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday as well. Thank you, guys. Goodbye.